Welcome to the Re Godisa Botswana podcast, where we take a deep dive into Botswana's investment and trade landscape through the BITC lens. Today, we're going to be talking about domestic investment, and our guest to help us really unpack this very interesting space is Gothusang Cobra Molatlhegi. I call him Cobra, so I can say Cobra over and over again. You'll understand why. And he's the Director Investment and Promotion. Hi, Kubrizi.
Hi, Miss P.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I think let's just jump into it, just from the very beginning. What is domestic investment?
Oh, thank you for having me here. Maybe just to dive into it, domestic investment it's easily investment that are made by local citizens here, by people who originate from Botswana.
Okay.
By other bringing in their contributions to certain investments and creating companies and then creating jobs and contributing to our economic development here.
So
it's a very easy concept actually.
Okay. I like that you say it's a very easy concept. You know how long I've been trying to grasp that concept. So its biggest difference from FDI, which is foreign direct investment, is basically that it's by Botswana for Botswana.
Yes, it's for Botswana by Botswana. The difference is that we are looking solely at Botswana investing in their own country, using their own resources to actually create jobs and make companies in Botswana.
And why is it so critical for Botswana's economy? Why is it such a key driver for Botswana's economy?
I think taking it from the recent development is that we want to build what is called a deep economy.
Yes.
This is intensifying participation by citizens into economic growth of this country. It's very critical in the sense that you now keep, the economic benefits generated through our economy. We are also making sure that there is sustainability part of it.
Yes.
This is the only country we have, and therefore, if people Botswana invest in Botswana, then you know that you are assured of returns, long-term returns. You are assured of commitments in terms of funding, in terms of creating jobs, in terms of building generational wealth and all those things. So it's very critical that we drive and we encourage domestic investment in the sense that it will then benefit us and benefit us deeply.
Yeah. So actually now looking at the way the global economy is in turmoil, I think what you're highlighting is it's actually become extremely critical.
Yes, it has become extremely critical. We know what we lack, and we now have to exploit those challenges and turn them into opportunities.
Okay.
And this is where we need our own people to invest. This is where we need our own people to inject capital. This is where we need our own people to inject resources and then create the economy that we all desire. The economy which now will strive towards, creating an equitable distribution of resources among our citizens.
Okay. Now, I think this is going to be twofold, but you can look at it as one question. Firstly, the role that BITC plays in driving domestic investment. I think how we drive FDI is pretty clear. But how do we drive domestic investment? And also, how then does domestic investment work? Is it like a big company investing in a small company? I think they can be seen together or you can separate them, but I kind of see them as one thing in my head.
Yes. No, it's actually, domestic investment is in a number of ways. But maybe first it's very key that we tell listeners at home that BITC drives investment.
Yes.
Both FDI in terms of foreigners coming and investing here, and domestic investment in terms of our own people investing in our own country.
Yes.
Those are two aspects that BITC has always been in. It's very critical that BITC does that because, like I say, the economy is as good as being run by its own citizens. In terms of what was the question again?
No, it is like the role that BITC plays. And how exactly does it happen? Is it like the big guy coming and fighting the smaller guy? Or is it two big guys coming together, two small guys working together? How does it look like in simple terms, really?
In simple terms, a domestic investment works this way. It can be either a greenfield. This will be a very new, totally new project.
Okay.
That one conceives and then they set it up. It can be in an existing sector. say, for example, agribusiness or ICT. But it can be in something that is very exotic that we have never seen before.
Yes.
But it can also exist in the manner of mergers and acquisitions. This is where Botswana will, merge their own companies or acquire certain companies and then make, citizen-owned company.
Also, that's where the big guy takes the small guy.
Yes.
But then they can be with brand new projects.
Yes, and it can also be in form of just having a citizen company transition from a smallholder to a medium enterprise and then to a large enterprise.
Okay.
And we see benefits from
and
those.
And then in that regard, in these different scenarios, where does BITC come in?
Yes, BITC identifies opportunities in domestic economy. We use data-driven decision making to identify opportunities. After we identify opportunities, we make people aware of those opportunities through various means, social media, workshops, publications, and all those things. And then people come to BITC. We give them business advisory services in terms of this is where the opportunities are. This is how you can utilize those opportunities. These are the leverage points. The leverage points would be actually along government policies, institutional frameworks that we have, preferential, policies that we have, such as the procurement policies and all those things that are of government. Then from there, we take them through a process called accreditation. We accredit your project. This is where we register a certain investor, and that process entails knowing who you are, where you're from, what is your project, and then carrying out a due diligence that will touch on both financial due diligence. We need to know where your money is coming from.
Yes.
We need to know whether your money is clean or not. We need to know whether you are not, pre-exposed to certain issues politically, to other issues that may be relating to financing of terrorism, money laundering, and all those things. We need to ensure that the investments that we attract are investments that we really can be proud of. We also look at whether there are socio-economic benefits. This is where issues of sustainability come in. For now, there are considerations around ESG as an organization, and these are projects that we really want to promote because we know then the sustainability part of it is really taken care of. After this, we then accredit you. After accrediting you, we give you the services. We roll out the red carpet for you. Facilitation for all land, facilitation for work and residence permits. If you have skills that you want to import elsewhere, we give you, we advocate on your behalf in terms of tax concessions or what you call fiscal incentives. And you are able to enjoy those because we are looking at you establishing, you are looking at you growing, and you are looking at you sustaining yourself.
Also, literally, when we say a BITC accredited company, we talk about a company that has gone through the ringer, a company that you can be confident that you're working with a company that has been tried and tested in terms of you don't have to worry about the due diligence behind this company. BITC has done the due diligence for you. So if you're going to partner with it, that's the kind of company you're partnering with.
Yes. We are talking about a company with tried and tested reputation. BITC does a very rigorous exercise in that. We collaborate with a lot of institutions where we actually determine who you are and what is it that you bring in, and if that which you bring to us is legal, it's very trustworthy, and it's subscribed to certain morals.
I hear.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just thinking about that, and you mentioned policies and stuff, and the fact that BITC is driving domestic investment. Is there clearly there's an area where we complement with government initiatives? Right.
Yes.
Where do we align and complement each other with other government initiatives?
Yeah, the government pronounces, at a broader level or at national level, the priority areas. For example, there's now priority around renewables and renewable energy. There's priority around agribusiness. There's priority around manufacturing in general. So when the government makes those announcements, BITC adopts them, and then through our strategy, through our planning, we distill and make them distill and make very specific investment opportunities out of those areas. So we are connected to the wider economy. We are also looking at the global economy. How is it behaving? What is it that is currently obtaining on the ground? We infuse that, and then we make an informed decision to say, for now, we deliberately are going to be concentrating on renewables, or we are going to be promoting agriculture, we are going to be promoting mining, we are going to be promoting mining beneficiation, all those things. So that's, and we should take into consideration that investment promotion is a value chain. It's a process that involves a wider number of stakeholders. We have regulators. For example, if we are dealing with a company maybe in non-financial business services, we will be looking at institutions like in Bifida to actually help us with certain aspects of what we do. If we are dealing with a mining company, the mining license and all those things, they're from Department of Mines. If you are looking at agriculture, you know that there are certain statutes or there are certain regulations that the company has to subscribe to, and then we bring together a number of stakeholders for a project to actually come into fruition.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's quite a linkage that we have there. Now let's look at the impact aspect of things, right? Do we have examples or success stories that you can share? One or two companies that illustrate how we've supported businesses from idea to impact. You had mentioned Greenfield earlier on as one of the areas that drive domestic investment.
Yes. I may not remember top of my head number of companies, but I will remember Okavango Gin.
Okay.
It's a BITC accredited company, and we have seen it grow, from an idea to what it is today.
Product,
it's a very big product of ours. It's a very major product of ours, and I understand it has penetrated the export market. We also can think of Bo Kwanantle. Kwanantle is a very big establishment today. Although it's in a Spedu area, it's a BITC accredited company. There are a number of companies that are local and all those things. A lot of them starts off exploiting the domestic market. Then through BITC also, we're able to see them exploiting the international markets because we have a fully fledged export development and promotion department at BITC.
I think that is something that I've been listening to speak. So you've highlighted basically the connectivity between investment promotion, export development and promotion. And when you talk about facilitation, you're talking about our post unit as well, which drives all the facilitation that we do locally. And now, if you look at the last 5 years, right, we've had the COVID-19 come through, and how did it affect domestic investment?
It did.
We
actually in 2019, in the advent of COVID-19, we ran a survey. The survey was COVID impact on businesses in Botswana. The aim of this survey was to collect, what obtained at that particular point in time, what people experiencing in terms of the impacts that were as a result of COVID-19. That study was run through all BITC accredited companies, and there were a number of issues that were raised from there. Obviously, there was serious loss of business, especially for those businesses which involved people being there physically. Manufacturing was highly affected, tourism was highly affected.
Definitely.
And we had to find other means of doing business. But even if we did that, we are seeing the remnants of the effects of COVID-19. Companies have not recovered to a level to which they were prior to COVID-19. Some companies have closed down. Some companies have actually not scaled up to a level where they have aspired to scale up to.
I mean, even from a Pusha BW perspective, there's some companies that were sending emails to say, unfortunately, we didn't make it across. And it was heartbreaking.
But COVID-19 taught us a lot.
I was actually going to say, what did we learn from that? What did we learn?
It taught us that we need to be, to some extent, self-sustainable or self-reliant.
Yes.
Take food supplies, for example.
The empty shelves.
Yes,
Let's put it for what it was. The empty shelves. Yes.
So we had to learn that we have to produce our own food.
Mm.
I'm grateful that we are seeing a number of programs being put in place to actually address those kind of issues. It taught us that we needed to build our own road transport and logistics networks because there was serious disruption. Because what was happening in South Africa, it was solely based on national policies in South Africa. What was happening in USA, for example, was
everybody was looking inward because everybody had to protect themselves.
So even if we say, okay, we are only 2.5 million and we could not be exposed as a population of 65 million, for example. But at the end of the day, it says that all those national policies, they had implications on how we behaved and how we were affected.
I'm actually now, it's been a few years after COVID, and yet I'm just interested to see how have we performed now? So looking at all of that, have we studied like the few years after COVID? How is domestic investment doing? Is it picking up? Are we getting new companies? Are people being bold enough to go into the space again, to go into the markets again?
Yes. We are seeing a recovery. We are seeing a very, a rising number of domestic companies coming forth and are creating with BITC and starting to do business in Botswana. Of course, that's not without challenges, but the fact is we have slowly recovered and we are continuing to have, and we anticipate to recover, looking at the willingness from the part of government to actually support Botswana businesses. For example, the Economic Inclusion Act was very deliberate, and that, it needs to be tweaked here and there, but those are efforts that we are seeing. We are seeing pronouncements by the current government also to support Botswana to get in businesses. We know there is leverage points on the government procurement. And then obviously BITC is also very intentional. We are making efforts to go around districts, talking to local economic development committees and district development committees to identify opportunities and then turn those opportunities in projects and then sell those projects to Botswana so that they invest in their own economy. They make food for themselves, they make clothes for themselves, they make cars for themselves and all those things. So we will see, a growing trend of Botswana now becoming entrepreneurs, because that space now shows that Botswana are very, very hungry.
It's amazing. As you keep saying this, Pusha BW is running through my head. Pusha BW. Buy local, look inward. Because that's what it really is all about. I know we're talking domestic investment, but that's what it's really all about. You invest locally, and then the outputs of that local investment is what you then, as consumers, you buy. And everything stays local. I know. I mean, it literally is what it is, isn't it? It's an element of that. But I want to switch up a little bit, and then we can look at sectors, right? The different sectors that BITC, plays in, or should I say, looks at, right? And when you look at the sector performance generally, you find that services, including minerals, is where you find them leading with both numbers and a value and number of companies. Why is that the case?
I don't think, for me, from a personal point of view, I'm not really surprised. The global economy is going towards services. There's a lot that is happening in services, especially leveraging on ICT. So that is what is really driving the services industry. And by default, I meant to say, Botswana seems to be a sort of a financial hub of some sort. So that is very big in terms of what we promote here. Financial and business services in Botswana are huge. If we are looking at the current profits that banks are running, you'll come to appreciate how big that particular sector is. And I think for me it's a good thing, because that sector is an enabler of a lot of other sectors. So minerals is a given. We are blessed with mineral deposits. So there is bound to be things around mining, beneficiation, and all things, and around services which are highly capital intensive. That is why the numbers are really high. Sectors such as agriculture They're still coming up. They are mostly subsistence, but we are seeing a lot of Botswana now venturing into the agribusiness sector because they know the importance that it holds to our economy in terms of employment, in terms of supply of food and all this. But remember, they're also hinged on services. So services will always lead until, and I think it's going to be one of the highly sought after investment opportunities in the world.
Yeah. That's your day-to-day baby. What as a sector, what new opportunities are you seeing that are emerging for Botswana in the agri space? A lot of us were talking about being farmers. So what are you seeing in that sector? I mean, that's your day-to-day.
Fortunately, I attended one of sessions on the agri sector strategy, if it's called that. We have heard the president talk about industrial hemp, medicinal marijuana. I would also want to throw in something there, Mr. President, on marijuana for entertainment, because that's a huge driver of production in that
Cobra.
Industry. That's also that's also a huge driver of output in that industry. I hope we'll go that way. And then
I'm not going to ask you why you said marijuana for entertainment. Let's focus on medicinal. Let's focus on medicinal.
Yes, we are looking at where the value is. We are looking at where 60% of the value of that particular industry, unfortunately, comes from the industry that you don't want to explore. But it will be very good that in terms of agriculture also, we are looking at safflower. It's a crop on that people are trying to actually promote. Our beef industry is also in need of growth. We need to grow to a level where we can go back to where we are as a country to be number one producer of beef, probably by value in Africa.
I wanna interject there. When you say it needs to grow, what do Botswana need to do for it to grow? We grew up where there's a morak. I get BMC. BMC, Namatenya, Europe, right? That's what we've grown up knowing.
Yes.
The beef is exported from BMC. But you're saying it has to grow. We know our beef to be wonderful, like some of the best beef ever. Now, what do we need to do as Botswana to get to that growth?
We should note that our national head population has been declining.
Yes.
One of the key issues that contributed to that, well, I don't think it's well documented, but it has to do with the fact that people see it as not having a market. BMC has got its own problems, so people are not necessarily now breeding as much as we wanted to breed. We want to have a population of let's say if you are not very ambitious, maybe around 4 million or so. Right now, I understand it's a little bit under 2 million head of cattle. So that's not sustainable.
Which one is 2?
Yes, that's not sustainable if we are going to exploit all those markets you've been talking about, the EU market.
Yeah.
And then one other key thing, please start treating beef rearing as beef cattle rearing as a business. So they need to be a lot on farm assurance in terms of compliance, how we keep our records and all those things.
Yes.
Let's go to the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture and try and understand what we need to do as farmers so that we can be taken as as businesses, so that we can exploit the markets that are there. Markets are emerging in Europe and in Africa under the FCFTA. There's a huge market that's emergent there.
So how would BITC be able to help in that space in terms of growing our beef sector from a domestic investment perspective? I mean, I'm a farmer. I want to grow. I want my head of cattle to join the beef that is going to all these new markets that you're identifying. Where does BITC come in that regard?
Yes, BITC, actually, BITC is an implementing agency of the National Export Strategy.
Okay.
So we come from a viewpoint of the market and then we replicate it backwards. So we identify opportunities. We have the means to identify opportunities, where the opportunities, and how much opportunity exists in a particular market. We then also have the ability to say, okay, the market requires 1, 2, 3 for you to comply, and then you can take your product to those markets. BITC also, remember, we're custodian of the nation branding, when I'm preaching to the
You're preaching to the choir.
You're preaching to the choir. We are able to brand our beef. We want to brand our beef.
Yes.
And that will actually, as far as I'm concerned, as backward integration, stimulate our people to actually have, pride and faith in our beef. And then going further back in the value chain, BITC is able to offer business advisory services in terms of what exactly needs to be done within the beef value chain that we can exploit for us to be able to produce as much as we can domestically. And then we also have a very strong advocacy program at BITC. We're able to, sway and talk to the government in terms of what needs to be in place for us to be able to exploit all those opportunities that exist within the beef sector.
Now, I wanna switch it up a little bit. Manufacturing.
Yes.
Manufacturing seems to be, just from a very simple perspective, that should be the quick win. Make products, sell products, right?
Yes.
I mean, that is a very simplified way of putting it.
Yeah.
Make products, sell products. Why is it the tough sector to crack? What is there? What is the challenge, and what can we do? Or, what incentives are there, support mechanisms to get it going?
You're talking about a sector where, there are large, very large players. China is a very big manufacturer.
Yes.
India it is, and to some extent the US and all those things. So these are markets that are very huge, and they are leveraging on their economies of scale to actually overcome us. But it doesn't mean that we cannot do it. We can do it. If we look closely at our import data, we can be able to identify where the opportunities are. Food preparations, for example, we have a lot that we can do there. This is what you would traditionally call agro-processing. Yes, we have them. And then if you're looking at what we'll be striving at, we are striving to pharmaceutical manufacturing. Botswana has got an advantage in the sense that we can promote traditional medicines away from the conventional medicines. Yes, there's an opportunity also in manufacturing of conventional medicines. But those kind of activities, and in some cases, are very, capital intensive. So there needs to be a very deliberate program towards giving us funds for us to venture into those things. But it's not without incentives. We offer one of the lowest tax incentives in the world at 15% corporate tax for manufacturing. We also have tax holidays, which could be between 5 to 10 years. In some cases, there is a promise of a government undertaking, that's the 30%. If you're producing that which government can actually procure, you stand a better chance of your products, penetrating the local market and growing your business. We also have a number of programs that you can leverage on that government had launched in the past, and then that which the new government is also launching. The Pampers, for example, the tampons, for example, Bomahura. There's still a lot of, and if you look at the traded, the amount that which we import from other countries, it runs into an import bill of around maybe between, let's say, 10 and 15 billion.
Yes. I was actually going to say yes, we've got the big markets, your China, your US, and so forth. But looking at the domestic conversation, aren't we a market unto our own self that we can look inward? And I was literally thinking of the import bill to say, doesn't that show the opportunities where we can fill our own gaps? And then manufacturing can at least grow for ourselves internally while we find ways of penetrating the international markets.
Yeah, we can. Because per capita, in consumption of almost every commodity per capita, we rank high up there.
Yes.
This basically communicates that we have the means of we can pay for those goods. Why not pay for them when they're produced?
To pay ourselves for those same goods.
Why not pay them for
I think
them when
maybe
produced
let us take a little bit for you to explain what the import bill mean, what it is, and what it really, when you see what a person should be thinking when they see the import bill.
Yeah, when you see the import bill, look at it this way. This is the amount of money you are paying to foreigners, to other countries. And resonate that with, this is the jobs that you are exporting to that particular market from which you are
jobs.
Yes, you are getting goods from.
Yes.
We have got a very high import bill. For you just to access it in any platform that is trade related, that provides trade data, you just go into there and then you click on Botswana, and then your trading partner is in the world, and see how much we import from all our countries. We import almost everything. We import toothpicks. We import what do you call them? Earbuds.
Milk.
I'm talking about those things.
We import milk.
We import a lot of milk. 90% of our milk, raw milk, is imported mainly from South Africa. We shouldn't be doing that. We have the experience of rearing beef cattle. Why not?
Why not have our own milk?
Why not dairy cattle?
And that is the heart. I keep saying this, and that is the heart of Pusha BW.
Yes.
In all honesty, that is the heart, because Pusha BW aims to reduce that import bill.
Yes.
By us doing it, and domestic investment is that key gear, that key driver to also bring down, so that we make our own, and then you buy our own.
Yes.
So that's how the two actually connect. I've never made that connection before. I'm just
PWB is a very good program in that it assures that there is a market out there, and it assures that there is a deliberate intention to actually get our goods to be on the shelves of major retailers, and to be consumed locally. And by Botswana. Yes.
I think last one, because I could talk to you all day, and you know this. How does BITC ensure that our domestic investors, as we do this domestic investment drive, are aligned with the national goals? We've got economic diversification there, we've got citizen empowerment there. So how does BITC ensure that as we drive domestic investment, these national goals are also addressed?
Yeah, we are very deliberate in that we like it starts from the beginning. Just when we're assessing a project, an investment project, there is that embedment into saying what is really this project addressing in terms of the socio-economic impact. So we are looking for jobs. We want projects that are actually producing jobs. We are looking for local made products. We are looking for those, so that there is a wide variety of things that we produce in this country. We are building our own productive capacity, but over and above that, we are constantly engaging these companies to actually give back to the communities within which they are located. That is what BIT is doing. We are very intentional in engaging our investors to show them the benefits of giving back to the economy, the benefits of not looking at only profits, but looking at the benefits that they confer to the communities, to Botswana, and then to other businesses that are there. That they can actually support.
Cobra, we could talk all day.
Yes,
I always enjoy picking your brain, but I think for today we can leave it here.
Yes.
I really hope to have you back.
Yes.
I'm going to do everything in my power to have you back, so that we can expand more, maybe in the agri sector, look more into other areas that BITC is playing a very active role in. But I think for today, I would like to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And to viewers out there, please make sure you follow us, subscribe, follow on all the BITC platforms. On Facebook, it's Botswana Investment and Trade Center. On Instagram, it's Go Botswana 1. And on X, which I still call Twitter, it's go_Botswana. And you get all the same information that we've been talking about, your import bill and all the others. And also feel free to contact the BITC offices if you need more information that we can assist you with. Thank you very much, and we'll meet again next week.